My name is Peter Shiao. I'm the founder and CEO of Immortal Studios. I'm also the son of Xiao Yi, the American Puma, one of the greatest voices of the Wuxia genre. In fact, I'm sitting here today in the Xiao Yi library where many of his memorable works were created. Even though my father passed away before fulfilling our dream to bring Wuxia to the 21st century, the time has come for me to continue in this legacy. Our first release, The Adept, is a story of redemption and homecoming about a modern woman being trained to be a hero in the Shaolin Kung Fu tradition. Her journey to bring her family back together with a pop star parallels competing martial clans and the unifying powers of great Qi, the underlying energy of it all. So this is just the beginning. As I reawaken the hero within me to go on this immortal adventure, I want to invite you along.
Experiences. I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics. We are streaming to you live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, bringing you that Comic-Con life to the comfort of your home with these free industry panels, in addition to paid exclusive experiences, including private one-on-one video chats with celebs, custom recorded messages, and autographs, all on sale at wizardworldvirtual.com. And they will be so throughout the whole week. So make sure, even if you're watching on a replay, that you're checking back in for these once-in-a-lifetime experiences with awesome cast members, awesome show people, voice actors, the whole nine. It's awesome. Also, don't forget to check out the signed memorabilia and works of art from our favorite artists and vendors from previous virtual experiences and physical conventions, all at wizardworldvault.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring to this virtual stage Immortal Wuxia, a new genre of entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us, we have the founders, the creative teams, all the cool people that you need to know from the new kid on the block, Immortal Studios. They are going to be killing it. I can't wait for you guys to meet them. In fact, let's jump into it right now. Starting off with the CEO and founder, Peter Shiao. Hey, Peter! Hey, there he is. Next up, we have associate editor and action director. That's very important. We have Ching. Ching! Yo! Hello. Next up, we have director of content with Emma Chibulu. Yay! And last but certainly not least, co-writer of The Adept, the first flagship piece from Immortal Studios, Charlie Stickney. Come on, Charlie. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, Charlie.
How are you guys doing? Happy holidays to all of you.
Indeed.
Everybody staying safe and sane in this 2020 environment? Everybody doing all right?
Safe, maybe not sane, but you know.
That's honest. Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump right into this because there's so many cool things about Immortal Studios, that I want to get out here. I want fans to know about you guys. You guys are kind of amazing. I mean, you had an amazing Kickstarter to launch things off. You already got your first book out. So we're jumping right into it. This genre, though, Wuxia, this is something that is brand new to me, but not necessarily to the world. Peter, I'm going to ask you to start us off. What is Wuxia?
Well, let's break it down first. Wuxia in Chinese literally means the martial hero. But okay, you may not know this word, but you probably like the movies. So for anybody who's like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or The Matrix, I would say these are really, really picture-perfect examples of what Wuxia is.
Nice.
This is a genre that's been around for thousands of years, and it's really all about empowerment. It's about justice. It's about doing the right thing. It's about mastery. We just think that this is such an amazing genre that doesn't have a home, believe it or not. And we wanted to create a place where we could really take it and run with it and create something that's uniquely this moment.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. Now, as you said, this is more of a centuries old genre, but are you aiming for older stories or are you kind of updating things?
We're updating things. Like,
nice.
The thing is, well, it's easy to think that only great things and these kind of heroes happen in, back 100, 1,000 years ago. If you watch a lot of the movies, of course, it really comes from the novels. And we wanted to do something different because we are interested in telling these stories today. So we're taking that entire body of knowledge and history, those influences, making them today with a backdrop that feels like our day. So we've made this big goal of really awakening the hero in everybody. We think that by doing something that's modern and contemporary, frankly, where technology even exists, that we can actually do a better job of doing that.
I love that. Now, for everyone that's watching right now, what was your first entrance into wuxia?
For me, it was, well, my father is one of the best well-known creators in the genre, so I was born into it.
Nice.
So you could say that it was in my blood. This is how I started to read, really.
Right.
So, and it took me all these years to ultimately decide, you know what, it's time to do it right now. So wuxia is in my blood. I'm really proud of it and just so excited to be doing this.
I love it. I love it. Gene, Emma, what about you guys?
My first step into wuxia was the Kung Fu movies. I mean, growing up Asian in America, there weren't a lot of role models, not a lot of Asians. I mean, Mr. Sulu,
Right.
that and kaiju, Godzilla films and Kung Fu movies. And so I was up late at night watching those Kung Fu movies every time, and
I love it.
a lot of those have very strong foundations
Right.
in the genre.
Very much so. Emma, what about you?
I think the same. I think I was staying up late when I shouldn't have been and watching films on TV. Yeah, I think I was reading the first thing and then probably games and stuff after that as well.
So what was the first movie, Emma? What was your first wuxia film?
Oh, that's hard. I don't remember because there were some really old ones that I saw, but probably the one that I remember making the biggest impact was Crouching Tiger, which may be the obvious choice. But it was the first one that really took it to another level, visually and spiritually. So that was on the list.
That's awesome. Charlie, what about you?
Well, I think Crouching Tiger for a lot of people who grew up in America was their first touchstone where they had seen some part of that genre and said, whoa, this feels a little different, right? And it was, I mean, for me, I think that's one of those things where you watch that and it was accessible. And so it didn't feel completely foreign. And then that made you kind of want to see what else was out there. And I think that's something that we're trying to do with The Adept also, is by setting it in a modern setting, we're trying to give people accessible points, in terms of the stories they already understand, to introduce them to a different type of storytelling that maybe might be a little bit foreign to them. And so I think that's like when you see grounded fantasy or grounded sci-fi, when it's working its best, it's still as fantastical as any of the high, Lord of the Rings, high concept or big sci-fi, but you give people a hook that they can relate to. It's your entry point, and before they know it, they're sucked into the genre. And I think, like Crouching Tiger did that for a lot of people because, it was from Ang Lee, it was this filmmaker I know, and things like that. And I'll check out whatever he's doing. And then, what is this thing that all of a sudden has me?
I love that.
I think.
And one of the cool things I love about wuxia is actually the high fantasies is grounded in ideas and practices that are real.
That's beautiful.
Because it's grounded in the mystical powers of martial arts, which is still, it's extraordinary. I mean, it's a real practice, real knowledge, real information. So this kind of knowledge and information has been creating superhumans for a really, really long time. So it's not stuff you can't access.
Right.
It's like, so it's here, it's now, it's stuff that has worked for people. So that, so in other words, bringing that element today and giving it reality, giving it a perspective so that, is it possible for you? Can you be that person? I think that's what's really, really intriguing about wuxia.
Yes. Especially because what you're basically talking about is bridging cultures over time. Like you're taking centuries of Eastern mythology and updating it to a point where anybody can find the access points to it. And that's huge. That's very empowering. I like that a lot, man. That's awesome. Very, very much so.
This is why the genre works.
When it's right there, like it's easy to build off of, right? Okay, now there are a lot of talented folks under the Immortal Studios banner. I mean, we're talking board of directors, obviously you guys here. Let me ask this question. You're starting off with comics. Why is that the medium that you want to start with out of anything else? I mean, you obviously pointed at movies being a key, reference point. Why comic books?
Well, let me give a stab at this because a lot of the movies, the fun stuff actually comes from literature.
Right.
So it comes from reading. And since not everybody can read Chinese, we thought adapting them into comic books was the most visual way of representing something that hasn't been properly represented just by the films. Nice. So the fact that comic books are visual, they're contextual, they're evocative. It's a really beautiful way to present something. And of course, it's relatively efficient and it's very, very timely so that we could actually go fast, go quick, so fans don't have to wait for 5 years until seeing something they really like.
Right.
So, and of course, the comic book industry is one of the most amazing crowds. I'm still a newbie to the business, but we've been so inspired by the fans and people who love it. So we just think it's a confluence of all of those things that really made comics great for us. And I know a lot of people go into this thinking, well, I'm just going to make a comic book and I'm going to go to start making the movie right away. That's really not our approach. So we take it very seriously. We understand that it's an amazing art form. Believe it or not, it doesn't have Wuxia now. It has never really had Wuxia before. So that it's really being done for the first time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So even titles. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, also, comics give you a chance to develop a story in, the way that a film, and you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. And in this COVID world that we're in, and sorry to bring some reality into it, it's really difficult to make movies right now. So we're able to, create a universe and start getting it to people and not having to wait 2 or 3 or 4 years. And we can start building up a following for these books, for these stories, and get them to people. And I think as a writer, because I've been fortunate enough to work in lots of different media,
right?
Comics, it's you often get the most direct translation in terms of what you want. It's the purest form of your story. There's a less, it's you, maybe an editorial team and an artist, and that's it. You're not working with 1,000 producers. You're not working. So I think if you're looking to be authentic to the stories, like we were trying to do, this is one, iteration that doesn't dilute things too much, and you don't have too many people. You're able to bring in, someone to choreograph the books who is, who loves the genre, and people who respect what we're doing, and together you can create a real team that's authentic to the mission of the book that you can't do in some other mediums.
I love that. And you're right, because a lot of times people do wait until it's on, quote unquote, a bigger platform in order to put forth that level of authenticity to it. But why not start in the book format where so many more people can receive it, enjoy it, and the production side allows for you to create more content that much faster. That is fantastic. Just as a total aside though, out of you four, who's the biggest comic book fan? Like, just out of curiosity. Who's the biggest comic book fan? You can acknowledge it.
I would vote for Charlie.
Charlie? You're the biggest comic guru?
I mean, the guy was a Marvel intern.
All right.
It is true. So I was, I may have the largest number of long boxes in my house at this point.
What's the number?
I 14, 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At least. And I gave away a lot. I also used to teach cartooning when I was in college. I used to teach cartooning.
Nice.
And the way I would get the students to sort of pay attention was, at the end of the day, if they were attentive, they could all go to the giant comic book box and pick out a comic.
That is
so, that way it was like, that was my positive reinforcement. And so I probably gave away about 1,000 comics over a couple of summers.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. All right. So getting back to Immortal Studios, how many titles are currently slated for the Immortal Storyverse? I know you guys are building a big universe. We're going forwards in time, backwards in time. How many titles are we talking about right now?
We're talking a minimum of 10 titles between 2021 and 2022.
Okay. So now that's a lot of work, man. What can you tell us in terms of where these books are in terms of production? I mean, 10 titles, that's brilliant.
The 5 titles for 2021 have already been slated. Of course, we're starting with The Adept, which is not exactly 2021, but it is our first way. It's our first title. The other 4 have been slated already, and some of them are pretty quite close. In fact, we'll be announcing our next one in February.
That's awesome. Oh, that's got me excited.
Well,
that's got me excited.
The other interesting thing about what we do is I think I shared a little bit about my father, who is a legendary wuxia writer.
Yes.
One of the things we've done over the past 2 years, we've aggregated all his previous works that have already spawned 30 movies and television shows.
Wow.
So in this kind of modernization approach that I just talked about, we're readapting them and interconnecting them. So that's what we're doing. So we're sitting on so many stories right now. So it's not like we have to recreate them from scratch, but it's really about adapting them and interconnecting them and finding relevant, timely places to put them. So 10 over the next year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, I love that. I
am
going to be eagerly reading that. But the thing that makes that so cool is for those people that are longtime comic book fans, we know like that's how the two major companies, Marvel, DC, started, where they were separate titles, and then the story started to integrate into each other. And you started to see that through line, and I think that's such a brilliant way that you could potentially reach different audience types, but then bring everybody back together under the Immortal Studios banner. That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different types of hero archetypes. To be able to, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is finding these different kinds of heroes that different people can really get into and really grow through their following these characters.
I love it. Okay, so you brought up The Adept. That's the first book that's out right now. Issue 1 is out and available. It was funded in your inaugural Kickstarter at over 350% of its funding goal, which is fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause for that one, because that is awesome. Like, seriously, fantastic. Last week, we did a panel, Crowdfunding in the Year Without Comic-Cons, and Robert Powers, who was kind of your campaign manager, talked about, what made it such a good model to start with. And I want to know what you guys think, particularly you, Charlie, where crowdfunding has become such a huge phenomenon in the comic book, creation process. How do you feel about being a strong company that's using this very like avant-garde sort of, marketing tool?
Well, I mean, I'll start with, I think, we're reaching a point where people are asking, why did you go the Kickstarter route?
Mm-hmm.
And I would sort of turn that question around and say, why wouldn't you go the Kickstarter route?
Absolutely.
And if you look at like other medium, people don't say, hey, why did you release that theatrically first, where you had to spend more money for a ticket on the big screen, and then you streamed it later on, or you put it, on television later on, because each is a different experience and each reaches a different audience. And so I think if you are a comic book creator and you don't have an exclusive deal that says you can't go to Kickstarter, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because Kickstarter is the best way that I've seen to connect directly with the fans. And so you create an audience there, but it's also a different revenue stream, because there are people who are only right now buying comics on Kickstarter.
Very true.
Just like there are people who only buy them on the stores and people who only do them digital. And so you want to be in all of those spaces. But the first space to me is you start with Kickstarter and you build from there.
I love it. Emma, do you have any thoughts to add on that?
Yeah, I think that in terms of just being able to directly talk to our fans, and I think Kickstarter gives us that experience. We're not waiting until a con, and a year like this, it made a lot of sense for us to be in Kickstarter first.
Right.
And it's been a great experience. We wouldn't have changed it.
I love it. I mean, let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the world that Amy inhabits here. Let's talk about who she is. So we've got the main character, Amy. Do we have her last name? I don't think I saw that in the first issue. Do we know her last name yet? I don't think so, but I'm just making sure like I didn't fail.
Actually, it's on page 37.
Oh, come on, man. Don't do that to me, Peter. Come on, don't do that to me. At any rate, Amy seems very, very awesome. Like the storytelling, the structure, the characterization, she is awesome. She seems to be a character with a lot of baggage behind her. And I want to let's have you guys talk about that. Like, how did you come up with Amy, and why is she the perfect protagonist for this story?
You should take that, Charlie.
Okay, I think that there's a couple of things going on there. Amy does have a really troubled past, and some of that past deals with her history, and some of that deals with her family and her estrangement from her family. So, I mean, when you sort of ask about her last name, some of that's tied up into that.
Okay.
So when we start going into who she actually is, some of those things will be revealed. But her journey, her journey is really about, finding that hero inside her, overcoming some of that trauma from her past, and choosing her path going forward. I think, when Peter and I were first talking, Peter, Em, and I, we sat down and we said, we have an idea for a core title. Who is the hero who is best suited to serve this? And we wanted someone who could be authentic, but also someone who would bridge the cultures, who would be someone that's someone picking up a comic now would relate to, and be a good entry point. So, it was about finding someone with a troubled past, like what's her arc? What's she going to have to be able to overcome? But also, I think what makes a comic, a story interesting is like, what is that mystery that you as the reader are trying to uncover? And, with Amy, it's also the same thing. Like you guys are, if it's working in tandem, you're going along with the main character, uncovering things about the world, the story, you're sitting on their shoulder as they're figuring things out. And so I think what we were looking for is someone who could authentically, go on that journey, embody the spirit of Immortal Studios, of the mandate that we were looking forward of becoming a hero, and also paying tribute to the whole genre, as a whole. And so like those were the places that we started with, and Peter, Emma, and I sat down, and then we brought in, we said, what, to do this story authentically, let's bring in another voice. So we brought in Tasha who is amazing to work with. I mean, she's awesome. An absolutely incredible writer. And so then it was synergy between the four of us going back and forth to kind of say, hey, like, what does she need to have? Where does she need to go? And then once the comic was created, we would bring someone in like Jean to make sure that the moves that she was doing were, again, authentic and honoring the tradition.
Well, since you brought that up, let's talk about that, because there are some awesome fights that jump into this whole issue here. And Jean, as I understand it, you had a huge hand in helping to choreograph and develop these things. Is that correct?
Sure, yeah.
Talk to me. How did you approach this?
You should talk about Shaolin first, Jean, because
Peter and I met through Shaolin Temple, the real Shaolin Temple.
Word, okay.
We did a lot of work with it. Peter promoted one of the Shaolin Summit, which was this international convention for Shaolin disciples, and the real abbot of Shaolin Temple came over. It was unprecedented.
Wow.
Event. So Peter and I go back to this whole martial connection. I was the publisher of Kung Fu Tai Chi magazine, which unfortunately folded at the beginning of the pandemic because of.
Sorry to hear that.
But I've been in that position for 20 years, and I studied at Shaolin Temple and was I am a Shaolin layman disciple. And that's awesome. So when Peter pulled me into this, I've been tapped for a lot of other comic books and all sorts of things. There was something about that Shaolin connection that was just auspicious, and it just seemed to be the way to go. In terms of choreography, it's a very different trip for me, because when I did in the magazines, we were breaking down the move,
right,
punch, counter, this, in sort of this very almost Woodbridge style of photos. With the comic, you have to say a lot in one or two cells.
Right.
So it was a lot of looking for signature moves, signature techniques that were authentic and genuine, that another Shaolin practitioner or just somebody who's fairly conversant in Kung Fu could look at and go, oh yeah, they're throwing something.
Wow, that's brilliant. Now, forgive me for interrupting, but when it comes to doing the art side, artists tend to do a few different sketches to get a pass at what exactly they're going for. Was there a similar process for you? Did you have to kind of sketch out certain scenarios and kind of see which one worked best, or did you just kind of laser focus in and go, this is the way this would go?
Well, this is the first time that I've done this, so it was
okay.
Sure.
We actually had to design a process to make it work. Emma, maybe you could talk a little bit about, how the action blocking actually took place.
I was really impressed, first of all, with Charlie and Tasha just getting stuck in and learning as much as they could about the world of Shaolin. And so they did the first shot, they wanted to express certain moves, and they've been reading about the history. And then we go over to Jean and say, could we do this better? And Jean was incredible. He told us, the real deep history. He could go and show us the moves on camera. And Connor helped us to do those first sketches. And then we do have a lot of dialogue and back and forth with Ishan, who was the final artist. It was really special.
That's amazing.
I don't think they've ever done it this way before. So I
can't say I've ever heard of it. Yeah. And that makes it very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of collaborative process than most people go when they're working on a comic. And it's great to have a large team working with you. And like as we're planning out future issues, we had a conference call with Jean, and we're like, what kind of moves would best suit, like this kind of sequence when we're trying to get this emotion across. So, we're able to build action sequences into the narrative and the dialogue going forward because we can have that kind of discourse going back and forth with Gene, and then we'll throw it to Connor, and so that there's a lot of different people bringing immense talent to this project, which again, with the goal of keeping it authentic.
I love it.
One of the inspirations behind doing something like this is I actually read a few comics that was kind of referred to Shaolin or attributed to Shaolin, but it really had nothing to do with Shaolin Kung Fu. It didn't have any authenticity. It did just seem like they wanted to borrow the name to do something they were going to do anyways. And we really wanted to stand up, not just for the martial arts necessarily, because really Shaolin is a way of life, is an attitude. It's a philosophy. This is where Zen Buddhism was born. So it's so much greater. And that, we would not be doing a proper job without really leaning into that. So this is just really the beginning of doing something authentic. It's a conversation about Shaolin as the birthplace of Kung Fu that people have never had. Not really. So it was really, really important for us to start with the Adept as an ode to where Kung Fu started from the Shaolin Temple. So it's really this reason that we wanted to bring in Gene, who really epitomized that in so many different ways. And as someone who was charged with building the Shaolin brand, that really was frustrated that this story never got told. So this is a really big hidden part of the Adept. That's what is really good, makes us very, very different from a lot of the martial arts stuff that's happening.
Right. Speaking of hidden things, and maybe I'm just reading into it, so please guide me correctly. But there's a line in there that the superstar that we see in this, Sasha True, makes a reference of kind of combining two different martial art form concepts and being kind of hardcore corrected, like, no, this is this thing, this is that thing. Is that part of the underlying current of the Adept, or what you're aiming for with Immortal Studios in general?
Well, they're the same and they're related, but yes, we are calling out specificity. We're not just saying generic Kung Fu or Ha-Ya and all the things, or Chop Saki that goes with it. We're like, no. Let's be real. Let's talk about things as they are. Let's give some respect to the people who've mastered this amazing knowledge and not just gloss over it.
Yes.
Well, and I think to that point, like this goes back to early conversations that Peter and I would have, where I'd be like, well, what if we do this with the story? And Peter would say, well, that doesn't actually happen in the temples. These are the fantastical kind of things that you can do. These are the out of body things that you can do. This is where the magic actually is. Let's not make stuff up. And let's be authentic. Like if we're going to use magic, if we're going to have these powers, let's have them be real powers. Let's not just have glowing fingertips for the sake of glowing fingertips. It has to. You know what I mean? So like everything is.
If they're going to glow. It has to be.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right. That's right.
That's a huge stab on multiple levels. Like that's but it's a real statement though. I totally understand that. I do got to give a shout out. Bella Z, who's watching, said Amy is such a rich character to read about. She's growing too. What other moves will she be doing in the Adept number 2? Can you give any clues, hints to that?
That's a good one.
Nope. Okay. No spoilers.
In terms of the choreography?
In
terms of the fight choreography?
Can we give that? Are we allowed? Can we give any hints?
I would say, Gene, I mean, look, you have a sense of the specific moves that she's leaning into. Just throw out one that you think people will be seeing.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things you need to understand about Shaolin Kung Fu, or Kung Fu in general, is it's incredibly poetic and dense. It's a very rich vocabulary. And so I'm really looking to tap moves that are signature.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, a straight punch is a straight punch, no matter what style. But to give it that Shaolin flair, that Shaolin taste, I'm kind of going for caricature moves in a way. I mean, the same thing happened in the first issue where we did the sleeping Lohan move, which is more of a Qigong move. It's not really used applicatively for fighting, but with the comics, we can of course stretch that a little bit and make it more exciting that way. But I really wanted something that would be signature, that anybody who knew Shaolin would see that that cell and go,
that's Shaolin.
Looking at something, yeah.
Nice. Gene, out of curiosity, which character has been your favorite to choreograph for so far?
Oh, it's all been about Amy, really. But,
all right.
Fa Shang's pretty cool too.
I was gonna say Fa Shang is pretty dope though. Like I don't want to take nothing away from Fa Shang.
So look, Victor, Fa Shang is getting his own book. So Fa Sheng's backstory is going to be one of the things we're diving into 2021. So
nice.
stay tuned.
Okay. I'm ready. Y'all got me excited about that.
To answer this fan, I would throw out some red meat because this is a warm crowd to us, and for all the fans out there for the Adept, I just want to tell you there's a big conversation out there about traditional kung fu versus mixed martial arts. Let's just say that the Adept moving forward will have a lot to say and contribute to that conversation.
I like it. Now, for us that are hardcore comic book readers, and we want to know how much time and money we need to invest and get ready for this, how many issues is the Adept's first arc going to be?
Well, I mean, I think you have to look at it in terms of arcs on Kickstarter. Arcs for self-published books are sometimes different than what you would get in the confines of the direct market system. So if I say we're looking at 5 to 6 issues for an arc, rather than that being 100 to 124 pages, you might be talking about 180 pages worth of material. So because the first issue of the Adept was 40 pages. So we are looking to do at least 5 issues for the first arc. And depending on because one of the nice things about being able to do this through our own style is we're being able to be authentic to the story, so we can write the issues to the length that they need to be.
I love that.
Right? Rather than to meet the confines of a system where I think a lot of people, when they go to a comic book shop, things are down to 22 pages and you just sort of rip through it and you feel like there wasn't a lot of story there. Like there was 4 splash pages and, wait a minute. Like there's almost no story left over. So, because for us, we're trying to be authentic to the form, but also we have this elaborate both backstory and character arc that we want to tell. We don't want to be beholding to try to slam it all into that 20-page format. But it'll be 5 to 6, most likely for the first arc. We're still trying to figure out whether we need that 6th or whether we'll have an extra oversized 5th issue. So
I'm just going to go ahead and ask for the 6 because I just want more, because this book is fantastic. I'm a longtime comic book reader, and particularly when it comes to world building, I'm hardcore. Like I judge extremely hard, and I found myself easily accessing this series and caring immediately about the characters. One that we haven't really talked about too much, Sasha True. I gotta know the song that she's singing. Who wrote that? Like, is there an actual tune that we should think about in our heads? Come on, be honest. Who did that?
So Tasha, who my co-writer, wrote most of it. But then I came back to her with I said, but shouldn't we have another little tag and refrain that did this? So there was a little bit of collaboration. It was funny because internally everyone liked that song. And so
boy.
Yeah. And it's nice to be able to hang something that people leave the comic with. Like they like Sasha's a really fun character, and she's not a one and done. She'll be coming back and being part of the universe. I mean, she's not the narrative thrust for the book, but she's definitely added a lot of flavor, and we like her as as something to help build the flavor of the world.
I love it. Now we've got a few unnamed bad guys, antagonists that are involved here. I mean, are we talking? Is this a global story, or is this very focused on individual characters? What's the reach here?
Well, I think the backstory is global.
Okay.
The backstory is both global, it's international, it goes back thousands of years. So there's a big, rich backstory.
I love it.
The story that we're focusing on will be a little bit more grounded. The universe of the Adept that the Adept inhabits is a big universe with many different power levels and things like that. The actual stories that Amy will be sort of going on in terms of her voyage are the more grounded entry point to help bring people into this bigger universe. But we'll be dropping hints as to what that bigger universe is over the course of the story.
Nice.
And keep in mind, because we made this really bold claim that we're building a home for everything that's fallen under the this Wuxia universe, from very, very grounded stories all the way to metaphysical, intergalactic things. So it's really bringing all of those influences together. So there's going to be some meta arcs that the Adept will be part of. Our next book, Chronicles of the Immortal Swordsman, Assassin G's, Fashin's backstory. So there's going to be, you can call it a metaverse, and there's going to be some meta arcs that the Adept is going to be part of. And then hopefully there'll be a time when all of these characters come together for our team up. So there's a lot of things happening concurrently.
I love that. I love that. And you mentioned one that I've seen the little promo piece for. I'm going to show right here on my screen. This is the one that is, I'm most looking forward to this one. I'm not going to lie. Like, I have no idea story-wise what is happening here, but I am intrigued beyond intrigued. I love the setup, the design, the color scheme of everything. Knowing that you have this on deck has me super duper excited, and I can't wait. You said you're going to make a big announcement in February on what the next thing is. So I'm gonna stay tuned for that. We are getting close to our time on this though, so I want to make sure that everyone knows where they can find out more information about Immortal Studios. So where should they go?
They should go to our website. It's www.immortal-studios.com. Again, immortal-studios.com. We're also known as Immortal Global on all of many of our social handles. So look for us as Immortal Global on Instagram.
Excellent. Very awesome. I'm going to also recommend that they find you on Kickstarter and follow you as a creative team, so that way they can see what is coming next, get all the cool updates on all that good stuff. Okay, I gotta know, when's the next time we're going to get some more Adept? Do we have a timeline? I gotta know, because I'm itching over here. I reread it just like a little bit ago, and I'm like, man, I need some more of this. When can we expect like issue 2?
Emma.
Well,
we don't have a hard date at the moment, but we're working really hard, even over the holidays. So
bless your heart for that.
Let's just say we're in dialogue with Charlie, with Tasha, our whole team.
Okay, all right. Whew, I need some more, man. This is a great series.
It'll be sooner rather than later.
Okay.
I think with Kickstarter, you have to put everything in the right order.
Of course.
And make sure, that it was a great first effort. And so we need to make sure if we're expanding other titles that they come out in the right time.
Of course.
And you want to fulfill one before the next one. But I would say, before the summer comes, you should be seeing more Adept. Definitely.
I love it. I'm just going to give a shout out to all the readers that are out there. Please, please, please check this book out. It's really, really dope. If you're a comic shop, you're going to want to be on board with this. I do want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about, you have a WeFounder platform that you guys are working with. And I want to give you an opportunity to explain what that is and to encourage people to check that out.
Great. Look, we believe in connecting with our fans and breaking down the barriers, and we want to align our interests with people who really like what we're doing. Through WeFunder, we're giving people a chance to be a shareholder, to be a founding shareholder, to own a piece of this company that's being built brick by brick, story by story. So this is a new thing that we're doing. We already have 160 different shareholders who decided to be an owner as well. We want to invite people. If you're resonating with Wuxia, with where we're going, if you love the Adept, we want to invite you to become a shareholder, to become an Immortal. So that's the awesome opportunity. You can learn more about that through our website as well.
That's awesome. Oh my God. Guys, please jump on this. You need to right away without question. I got to thank you guys for joining us. This has been a great conversation. Hopefully all the people that are here immediately go start following you on all the social media platforms, following you on Kickstarter, and maybe nab a copy or two of the Adept, because you guys have not only just this issue out, but you got some special variant covers, some awesome pieces that are some somewhat Kickstarter exclusive style pieces, right? Am I right on that one?
That's right.
Okay, so you guys need that for your collection, like ASAP, like I kid you not. All the fans that are watching live, or if you're watching later on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff, make sure that you check out not only Immortal Studios, but the paid exclusive experiences like private video chats, autographs, custom recorded messages with all the celebs that we've had on deck at wizardworldvirtual.com. If you're watching right now and you're planning to stick around for the Marvel Runaway series, stick around, because we're going to ride right into that at the top of the hour. But before we get out of here, I got to say, Peter, Gene, Emma, Charlie, thank you guys so much for joining us, sharing all your stories, your talent for sure. This has been a wonderful experience, and I've thoroughly appreciated all of it. You guys want to give one last thing for all the fans that are watching now? I give you guys an opportunity to say bye-bye. Peter, you want to start?
Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for your support. Like we would not be here without your early support. So please follow us. Let's continue this journey. 2021 is going to be exciting. That's our promise to you.
Yes, absolutely. Gene?
Stay safe, stay shall and strong.
There you go. Emma?
Awaken your heroes.
Hey, last but not least, Charlie.
Stay safe and to find good stories that resonate with you. And that's what we're trying to do, is create stories that resonate with people.
Oh my God, I co-sign all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for watching. Once again, I'm Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics, saying thank you, happy holidays, and stay safe out there. Again, stay tuned. We've got Marvel's Runaways coming next. It's going to be fantastic. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace.
My name is Peter Shiao. I'm the founder and CEO of Immortal Studios. I'm also the son of Xiao, the American Puma, one of the greatest voices of the Wuxia genre. In fact, I'm sitting here today in the Xiao library where many of his memorable works were created. Even though my father passed away before fulfilling our dream to bring Wuxia to the 21st century, the time has come for me to continue in this legacy. Our first release, The Adept, is a story of redemption and homecoming about a modern woman being trained to be a hero in the Shaolin Kung Fu tradition. Her journey to bring her family back together with a pop star parallels competing martial clans and the unifying powers of great Qi, the underlying energy of it all. So this is just the beginning. As I reawaken the hero within me to go on this immortal adventure, I want to invite you along.